to look at the pictorial record of the history of our parliament. When we are going to bid farewell to each other, I'm going to comment on one or two. It is very interesting that we have members of parliament who have been sitting here uninterrupted for the long period as the existence of the republic itself. That in itself, it's quite it's a milestone in the life of any human being. But I'll reveal that when the time comes. Honourable members, the Committee on Standing Rules and Orders and Internal Arrangements, at its meeting held on the 6th of March 2025, approved the renaming of sites within the surrounding of our Parliament building to the following individuals for their contribution and service to this very institution. And I'll go one by one. Number one, the Parliament Restaurant to be renamed after the Honourable Doreen Sioka. Number two, Number two, the Parliament Clinic, the heartbeat of our institution in terms of health services, to be renamed after the Honourable Elman Dienta. And I'm sorry, the next honourable member whom we have honoured is not in the house, but I suppose I can still reveal the recommendation. Thirdly, the parliamentary courtyard to be renamed after the Honourable Loite Kasingo. So basically, it is for this House to approve. Do I have your approval? Thank you. Thank you very much. Any petitions? Yes, you're on.
I really rise to support this recommendation, and we wholeheartedly accept it for the mere fact that the committee has worked so hard and has brought women, recommended women. So thank you very much, and congratulations to the colleagues who got this.
I think we are moving step by step to ensure that we are an inclusive society. Gender representation must be upheld. These are things that hopefully will define who we are as a nation. Honourable, I saw your hand. We need to move on.
Yes. We are supporting women. I just want to bring to the attention of the House that we equally have taken a decision. If one day we are to build a new parliament, this name must be carried on. That new parliament will have a courtyard, the name must go. It will have a hall almost the same size, it must carry on. There will be a clinic, the names must carry on, and not be left with the old parliament.
Okay, we take note of that.
Yes.
We take note, it should be recorded as such. And yeah. Any petitions? Reports of standing select committees? Other reports and papers? Notices of questions? Notices of motions? Messages from the head of state? Ministerial statements? Honorable Tom Alwendo, are you signaling? Thank you very much. We have dealt with that part of the agenda. I move on to the notice of a motion, the one of the Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Technology and Innovation. Does the Honorable Minister move the bill be now introduced? Thank you. Who seconds the motion? Thank you. Is there any objection? None. Then it is agreed to. Honorable Minister, please table the bill. Thank you. The Secretary will read the bill a first time.
Namibia Financial Assistance Fund Amendment Bill.
Thank you. Does the Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Education, Technology and Innovation move that the bill now read a second time? Thank you. Any objection? None. Who seconds? Thank you. Agreed to. Honorable Minister, you have the floor.
Granted, Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, as I motivate the Nasaf Amendment Bill this morning, I feel obliged to give a short historical account about the origin of this fund for contextual purposes. The seed money that established the National Bursary Scheme in the Ministry of Education shortly after independence was the repatriated scholarship funds dedicated then to the development of the Namibian human capital in exile in preparation for an independent Namibia. While in the ministry, the bursary scheme was augmented annually through budgetary allocations. The need for diverse education and training were accentuated by independence as different types of professional skills for the different sectors became necessary. It is that bursary scheme which over the years evolved to become the Namibia Student Financial Assistance Fund. In 2000, the Nasaf Act number 26 of 2000, was promulgated. However, Nasaf then continued to operate within the ministry for over 10 years. It was only in 2013 that Nasaf was delinked from the ministry to become a juristic person. Nasaf's independence came with some achievements, some challenges, as well as complications. For example, as an achievement, the application process is now automated. However, there are some challenges that persisted and still do persist today. For example, a bloated and costly executive structure, problems of financial accountability through formal audits, exponential growth of eligible beneficiaries, a limited annual budgetary allocation, insignificant and stagnant recovery efforts, and many others. In 2021, a cabinet decision was issued to reintegrate Nasaf in the ministry. Consultative meetings to pave the way for the reintegration process were held with different stakeholders, some of which are the Ministry of Finance, the Office of the Prime Minister, tertiary institutions, student leaders, student associations, leadership, to mention but a few. What does the Nasaf Amendment Bill seek to do? This bill seeks to implement and authenticate the long overdue Nasaf reintegration as sanctioned by the Cabinet decision to increase accountability and control over the fund, to divest NASFAF of its juristic personality, to place NASFAF under the ministry as a department and ring-fence the fund strictly to be directed towards funding of education and training. I'm saying this because currently what is happening is that indeed the fund now does provide for the training and education as well as taking care of the salaries of the staff members of NASFAF. Also, this amendment seeks to closely monitor the affairs of NASFAF and develop a readily accessible tertiary education students database. Rename NASFAF Board as the NASFAF Selection and Advisory Board to be chaired by the Ministry's Executive Director and align its functions accordingly. Create an efficient one-stop shop for the National Human Capital Education Training as well as its financing. Improve NASFAF financial accountability, develop and expand NASFAF into a comprehensive, inclusive student fund with different funding options, and many, many others. Now, I plead with the House that as we deliberate this bill, we should actually be futuristic. We should try to address the aspect of inclusivity. We should try to look at the different stratas as well as regional representation. Honorable Speaker, I don't have much to say. I think I have done enough and I so submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further contribution? Yes, Honorable Dr. Opindi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I really want to compliment the ministry, the minister, and all those who are involved, in fact, Cabinet, for taking this very important decision to reintegrate this instrument back to the ministry. And I said this because, in my view, education is the greatest equalizer. And once you have it, no one can take it away from you. And you can do wonders. You can come from a very disadvantaged background, but you can climb to the hilltop. Just like what Honorable Benani, I think yesterday, talked about Dr. Mbeki coming from exile with a PhD. And that moved the society. That is what education can do. The promulgation of NASFAF, that act of 2000, was always a disaster policy. It was a disaster policy because we were hoping for operational effectiveness to achieve absolute efficiency within the management of the student financial management system and our system. But what we got, it's a lot of backlogs and lack of auditings, lack of efficiency. Sometimes students are complaining. There is no proper formula even. If you look at many of the students who are studying abroad that were supported by the NASFAF, it was a disaster. And you look at their corporate office, just to look at their corporate office. Look at the majority of the market NASFAF is serving. Yet they went to build a fancy corporate office in Eros. If you look at those policies, Mr. Speaker, are disaster. And whenever the biggest question we must ask ourselves, whenever there is a policy that leads to a commercialization of a government department,
Yes.
people go on and think that the first thing they should do is jump on to increase their salaries and operate like they are in a commercial sector where you're actually profit-driven and maximizing shareholders' return on investment because you're an executive. You are actually carrying out a social responsibility of government. And I think that the Nasaf Act, the ministry had sort of like gave away one of its most important assignments. And the fact that the ministry is realizing that, cabinet has realized, we have to compliment them. We must assist them to pass this act very, very fast. And by doing that, you are going to be further much more in control. You find yourself taking more executive decisions within the ministry that is in the best interest of our children that are going to university and achieving, with that hope to achieve tertiary qualification. So I compliment you, Minister. I'm not even going to go into various things that are proposed in the Act, except that when you have that board next to you as a minister, you will be able to demand accountability. Yeah. You will be able to demand efficiency. You'll be able to demand proper audits and proper strategies that are going to, and you'll be able to react also fast. And to be honest, Nasaf has sort of like been in the news for all the wrong reasons. So we want to compliment you and for a really good policy direction, and I wholeheartedly support this act. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Short and to the point. Honorable Shirare.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I would also like to applaud the initiative in the sense that I feel the consolidation somehow will mandate NAMRA and Social Security to share information with the Nasaf in terms of recovery of funds, in terms of verification of the parents of the applicants and all that due diligence that needs to be done. I also want to applaud the fact that it will also help with the mitigation of loss in terms of the death of the recipient and especially with the insurance costs involved with the loans involved. However, I have a few reservations in terms of the elimination of the Nasaf board and replacing it with the, the advisory board. I would like to find out, well, currently the Nasaf board has mandate, is it mandate, the word, where accountability is required of the executive to account to the board. And in terms of accountability and, executive powers that are now being, I'm not sure if the new advisory board will have the same mandates in terms of ensuring that accountability is not weakened. One of the reservations. Therefore, I have a few questions. What were the initial triggers in separating Nasaf from the ministry in the first place, and what motivated the re-merger? And whatever the problems were, can't they be resolved within the same setup? And won't it have an extra workload on the ED and the Minister of Higher Education having the two added to the current workload that exists? I also have, the fact that the discourse, when it comes to poor management and low recoveries and maladministration, these exorbitant salaries of executives. Where does that leave the current employees of Nasaf in the merger, in duplication of duties, for instance? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. I'm looking for the lights. Oh yeah, yes, Honorable Kundi.
Como Speaker, good morning and welcome back. Thanks. I would like first and foremost to support, because for me the intention is of paramount, and that is the intent of the bill. Como Speaker, you possibly know that I'm an advocate against the creation of so many institutions of the state. I've been against it for many years. And this is a welcome measure against that. One of the issues that I have observed why these so many institutions of state are created. They are normally created from within the ministries. People who want to become bosses, who want to become CEOs and strategic executives, and who wants to get higher pays. You realize that a person in the ministry would get, example, salary of 30,000 per month. He or she would then agitate for creation with a good all sort of motivation. Nicely cream this side, so I'd be convinced the policymakers and lawmakers to create it. And they will create a structure that will make that person get 80,000 per month. Up to even 200. So I think this is something long overdue, and it is possibly a good start moving into the new administration. And I am looking forward that a number of these many agencies, which ought just to be a department or a division in the ministries, should be analyzed, and I think 50 to 90% of these so many shall, if we are serious, shall be reintegrated into the mainstreams of the ministries. And we are going to save millions of dollars that will be directed toward proper service deliveries, proper infrastructure deliveries that will benefit the majority of our people. This is something very good and must be commendable to the government of the Republic of Namibia, and to you, Comrade Minister, and to your entire support staff within the ministry. That is very, very important. The next thing that I want to deal with, Comrade Minister, Comrade Speaker, Comrade Honorable Members. Honorable Aupindi have mentioned about it, that Nasaf for many years have appeared in the various media outlets mostly on negativities. And I believe that moving in this direction, as I call a right direction, it shall also address the issue of nepotism, whether it's real or not real. I have not done that study to find out the facts, but that must be addressed, so that if it's not true, so that the people have now confidence in the systems of the fund. That's very much important, because most often, if you go in the communities, the parents most complains that my child or my grandchild, the parents are not working and everything is not working, they are not given NASFAF. But I can give example, a child of who is a teacher, a principal, a whatever, all names are given. So those things, and it's always been viewed as nepotism. I think it's much important also to address that within the context. I'm saying I have not verified that claim, but I think if it is true, it must be addressed. If it is not true, we must also find a way so that we clear into the public domain what the facts are, so that they are all at peace. The other issue, Speaker, I'm almost done. I want also into the new system to be dealt with, Speaker, is really the issue, the time factor. The time factor is of paramount for NASFAF and for the students. We already know, Speaker, that there are students, learners, who shall, on probability, go to the universities and colleges next year. We know about it. We already know what are the qualifying criteria for a person to be qualified to be given the loan. We already know about it. So it does not need you to get the result for you to start with the whole process of application and go through the whole system. It does not need that one. What is of importance is that you know the criteria. Already in September or somewhere there, already people must apply. You qualify them based on the key criteria, and you only wait for the result. When the result comes in January, you already know, okay, you are passed, you are through. You passed, you are through. Instead of, I saw somebody comment this speaker, and I support the bill. Thank you very much.
I'm appealing.
Yeah. My apology, Mr. Speaker.
Our time is limited, and therefore, straight to the point is much more beneficial. Next, the Honorable Katamero.
Yeah, honorable members, honorable speaker, thank you very much. I'm hitting your call, honorable speaker, and first and foremost, I must applaud the minister. You know, in other circles, PhD stands for philosopher doctorate, but in other circles, it stands for pull him or her down. And then there's this nice phrase that says, a man or woman who graduates today and stops learning the next day is uneducated the day after. Simply meaning education and evolving is a continuous process. You demonstrated with this vision, Honorable Minister, that you are not immune to be advised or to take corrective action for the safeguarding of the future. And in that process, I wholeheartedly support the bill, and it's because it stands on the principal foundation of inclusivity, regional representation, and also transparency. Article 18, the insertion says, fields of study of the courses to be given priority of purpose of financial assistance. How will that field of study be determined? The minister, after consultation, consulting the board, shall each year, before the end of January, publish by notice in the Government Gazette, a post on the official website of the ministry, a list of fields of study and courses which, for the purpose of the financial year in terms of this act, will be given priority. Transparency. Minister will not decide alone, the board, but it will also advertise. And I think this gesture is more inhabitable to make it easier for access and for sharing of knowledge. Also, in the same breath, I'm aware that the Public Accounts Committee of Honorable Dudu, if you check in those, had one of these recommendations regarding Nasaf. Honorable Dudu can attest to that, and the members of Public Accounts. In one of their recommendations was specifically addressed to NASFAF and inquiring its incorporation into the ministry, back into the ministry for fair and just administration. And that's why I applaud the minister to say this is how we can collectively provide services to the nation. And I thank you and I support the bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I like that cross-reference. It's always important to remind ourselves some of the things that have been done are done at the recommendation of a committee. Well done. Thank you. Yes, next, the Honorable Kantema Gaumas.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. I rise to support this very important amendment that is going to assist us to empower young people, something that's very close to my heart. Honorable Speaker, what I had in mind was already addressed by Honorable Nekundi in the sense of the issue of the time factor, because we know that in January, February, I'm sure you colleagues, you'll attest to it. When you open your email, you'll find an email from a student saying, can you please pay for my deposit? I've been admitted to pursue a certain course. So we hope that this will address also those issues, because you find young people with 40 points, 42 points, but they cannot access higher education due to those limitations. Also looking at the socio-economic background of some of our students. I also wanted to highlight the issue of cost efficiency that was also then taken up by Dr. Opindi, because we will then ensure that the funds go straight to the beneficiaries. We know the cost of setting up an SOE, as the colleagues have narrated here. Honorable Speaker, I was particularly interested to the section 19 that speaks, in my view, it's going to address the issue of skills mismatch. This has been raised in the APRM review, the APRM African Peer Review Mechanism, we conducted a report on targeted review on youth employment, and one of the recommendations in that report is that we must address a skills mismatch to ensure that our training institutions are training for the job market. Beforehand, youth who were unemployed were mostly the uneducated or not in education, not in training. But of late, we are seeing a huge number of trained youth who are graduates, but they are unemployed. So this will at least assist us that when we spend funds on this training, we are training for what the job is demanding. With those few remarks, Honorable Minister, I wholeheartedly support the amendment, and I hope that we will not labor on this point, but rather ensure an expedite to facilitate the approval of this amendment. I so submit.
Thank you very much. Grateful for that short intervention. Honorable Dr. Becky Jode Ojo.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for... I actually rise to wholeheartedly support this bill. It has been long in coming. And as somebody who had served in that ministry between 2005 to 10, that Nasaf was still part of the ministry during those years. In fact, we were trying to reconstruct it. And it was good that, as far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't have left. But it did leave in 2013. And now I'm very glad to notice that it is coming back. Yesterday, Honorable Speaker, we were talking about the Central Procurement Board as a replacement of the Tender Board. What is happening is, when we are in this parliament, we look at things that work and they don't work, and we look, somehow we do a SWOT analysis, the strength, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats to a particular institution, such as was Tender Board. And we felt that the Central Procurement Board will solve those problems. Somehow, sometimes what we create does not speak to resolving the problems that we have identified. And like we are now sitting with the question what to do with the Central Procurement Board. I'm not insinuating that this will happen, but we would have learned from the time that Nasaf left what the problems were. And when it comes back to the ministry, we should know how to address those problems within the ministry so that it will be a strengthening reconstitution of Nasaf. Finally, I want to talk to the Parliament enacting acts. And then after some time, somebody else comes. Let's say this 7th Parliament is ending, 8th Parliament comes with these new innovations. And then before that ends, somebody comes and says, no, I want to amend this act. And sometimes we do amendments to the acts that we have just created something new. So we should be very conscious and very cautious as Parliament when we are amending acts. Let us amend them for the benefit of the Namibian people rather than for the benefit of individuals that are pushing for that agenda. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, and I'm grateful for keeping within the time. Next, the Honorable Gorgases.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, honorable members of the 7th Parliament, fellow Namibians. In support of our amendment bill, today I am a very, very, very happy person. The past 2 days, I was at pain. I'm happy in the sense that we are realizing as leaders that we are sometimes hastily fixing things that are not broken. I was an administrator in the Ministry of Education of this fund as a Deputy Director, reporting to the ED by then permanent secretaries, and ED who directly report through the board to the Minister the issues of this fund. I had difficulties to understand why the migration was necessary. Because when I left, as far as my records goes, I left that fund with credibility and we could account, only to realize it went. Therefore, I am happy. And when I was also listening to the Public Accounts Committee report, if my memory is not failing me, one of the entities that were mentioned with adverse or disclaimers was Nasaf. So therefore, it is really long overdue that we get this entity back to the ministry. It was in department, and greater department, and I'm sure the modalities are ready so that we can directly manage and serve the intent and the objective for which this fund was established. Lesson learned to us as national leaders that we are sometimes too fast in our boardrooms and go hastily with submissions to the cabinet and cabinet resolution. We are the ones who are creating these submissions. So let us learn lessons from the creation of these boards. Procurement board is one such case, Nasaf again, and be tactful when we are taking and when we are making new amendments or submissions to the cabinet and later on cabinet. Therefore, I, in full, wholeheartedly salute my minister and myself who worked on this reintegration so that we can wholeheartedly support this amendment. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next, Honorable Anahi Pondaka.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have history with this fund and the establishment because I happen to be one of the founding board members of Nasaf. That time I was at NTA, but one thing that struck us first when the fund was established is the cost related to remuneration. It was simply not cost effective. And that's one big reason that one would support the reintegration of this fund into the ministry. While, of course, like Dr. Becky said, and I was saying, she took also words from my mouth, there must have been a reason, there must have been some good reasons for establishing Nasaf. But there could have been also not properly thought out reasons for establishing Nasaf. There must be good reasons for reintegrating it. And I'm just saying we need to really do a thorough analysis of why did it not seemingly work in the ministry? Why did we feel it should move? And now we have agreed and we support it for reintegration. What is it that we really need to look into properly in order to make sure that we don't throw away the baby with the bathwater? Just because Nasaf now has got negativities, it doesn't mean everything is negative about Nasaf. I'm just cautioning the proper conceptualization of Nasaf, looking at when it was in the ministry, why did Dr. Abraham Yambo, may his soul rest in peace, it was his time. And I sat with him. No. It was 2013, Dr. Yambo. So it was Dr. Yambo. We sat with him in the boardrooms. It was Dr. Yambo. I'm saying that his soul rest in peace. There was a reason, and these are the reasons that we need to look so that we don't do the same mistakes. Yeah? Then we also need to look into what mistakes are done in NASFA,
please,
so that we don't throw out the baby with the bathwaters. I just want to caution that one. But otherwise, I wholeheartedly welcome the reintegration of the NASFA into the ministry.
Thank you very much. Let's not dwell on who said what, etc. That is not important. The important we look to the future now. Honourable Dienda, please.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I don't need to give my CV here. I will just contribute here. Honourable, I am... Yes, they are giving CVs for the President-elect. The meaning of the word borrower means a student to whom a loan has been awarded in terms of this act. Honourable Minister, this word borrower means a student. If it is a student that you are referring to here, why is NASFAS asking for the pay slips of the parents? You are going into a contract with my child, but you want my pay slip so that you can discriminate against my child because of my pay slip. So I am suggesting, let all children be treated equally. Yes, our children are being unfairly treated just because of who the mother is sitting in parliament. Who told you that I'm getting a big salary? So now you're going into contract with my child, but my pay slip must be attached to that one. This is unfair. So if you have a contract with my child, who's 18 years and 19 years old, and I'm even asking myself the question, is it right to go into a contract with a child younger than 21 years old? Is it right to get into a contract with him? So let's look into this issue of the borrowing means a student and leave our pay slips out of this issue. If you are saying that on page 4 you are saying financial assistance to eligible students. Who's eligible and who's not eligible? It's discrimination against our children. So what makes you eligible and what doesn't make you eligible? So just clarify those issues to us. And then you are also talking about on page 8. Page 8, a member or an alternate member of the board shall cease to hold office if his or her estate is sequestrated or he or she enters into a compromise with his or her creditors. I'm not a lawyer, I don't understand compromise with his or her creditors. What does it mean? If I'm a board member or an alternative and I went to Lewis Stores to open an account and I failed to pay for 1 month, did I compromise? What is the story here?
Okay, the minister will explain.
Yeah, I need an explanation about that one. And then on page 13, third party agreement. And then you are even talking about debt recoveries. You can make use of these debt organizations like Red Force, which City of Windhoek have taken all of us now to Red Force these days. So now you mean, you don't know what is Red Force? Yes, Red Force is killing people because the interest on the Red Force is so high. I'm not there, but all of us will eventually get there with the City of Windhoek bills. But what I am asking, Minister, this third-party agreement, why do you want to go into a third-party agreement? Third party, the cost will just be escalating. Instead of within NASFAF, there must be an office which can deal with this loan repayments instead of making use of a third-party agreement. And then I wholeheartedly agree with Honourable Catamelo on the fields of studies, because some of our children have studied and they can't get work. Now, on page 15 on the loans to be written off, Honourable Minister, will it be in the regulations
the criteria of whose loans can be written off. Because when I went to, on the bottom of the page, they are talking about regulations, and they mention here some of the things that will be in the regulations. But I could not find the regulations on the loans that will be written off. Which criteria will you use to make sure so that you cannot again discriminate against somebody? There are people who can pay off their loans, they can do it, but for some reason they just refuse to pay it off. So which criteria will you use to determine which loans to be written off? And I support it, Honourable, with my whole heart, because it is for our children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The camera is letting me down. Honourable Sledwine, please.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I believe we are discussing a very important bill that is aiming at creating financially sustainable possibilities for our children to enter tertiary education. Now, with regard to the bill, I believe one can support it, but there are risks that we must be aware of. And I believed that it is difficult, very complex, to administer a loan book, which is de facto a financial institution, with the potential of picking up very serious liabilities. I think it is difficult for an education ministry to run that, because of the fact that the expertise are not there. And that was the reason of the first downfall of Nasaf in the first place. The inability of running a loan book appropriately. We are writing off loans because we couldn't run the loan book, and that means that the normal taxpayer, you and me, pay those loans. Writing off is not just it disappears. Someone is paying. And those are the liabilities that we take. So I think we must build, or we must ask the ministry to build very sound administrative and financial abilities to run this complicated loan book. And that is over and above the discretion that is inbuilt to decide who gets and who doesn't, and so on. Now, all these difficulties, Honourable Speaker, made me think that if we really want to reform that sector and make it possible for a merit-based access to tertiary education in public institutions.
Can you handle that phone, please? To take it out. Oh, officer, to take the phone out of the please. Yeah, to take it out. Okay. Sorry.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that if we really want to make progress in facilitating on a merit-based situation access to tertiary education to our kids, we must offer free tertiary education. We must fund our tertiary educations that they can absorb everyone. Then we will cut through the chase. There will be no discretion who goes and who not, other than the quality of the applicants that want to access. There will be no financial loan book to be administered because the financial institutions will be budgeted, and this House is budgeting it. There will be a competition between private tertiary education. I don't think we should subsidize private profit-driven education. If they can be there, but they must be competing with public institutions for students, and the parents or the students must then take a decision whether the quality of education merits higher prices or whether the free education offered by the state is correct. So I believe if one makes the calculation, there is a very good argument to make that what we are paying today, that is the subsidies of the tertiary educations, private and public, plus Nasaf, is actually more than funding the 2 universities that we have to offer free tertiary education. I believe that calculation must be done, that analysis must be done, and my opinion is that free tertiary education is a much more progressive step to offer what our children actually deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I must thank the Honourable Minister for implementing the recommendation of the Public Accounts Committee in the first instance. But I need to say, although it has been mentioned by my sister Dinda, that on the qualification criteria in section 20C, I'm begging with you, Honourable Minister, that that criteria should please not include the income of the parents or the guardians. Because it is not a secret, Honourable Minister, that when it comes to bursaries or students who are studying abroad in China and those countries, it was 90% children from high-ranking ministers and civil servants, and our children were left out, while their salaries are much higher, also as required by Nasaf. The other point that I would like to say is in of section 20 on the guidelines for the recovery of any monies due from students to the fund. Honourable Minister, I'm mentioning this because I do not want that we have to repeat the mistakes of the past, whereby Nasaf was hiring a company, for example, it was tribesmen that time, to recover monies, and already went in an agreement to pay these people $250,000 a month, just to realize after 5 years that whereby they have paid the people 15 million, that those people only recovered 3,000. 3,000. So we can go into the books. It is true. We can go into the books. It is true. 3,000. We can go into the books. Honourable Minister, I'm mentioning that because it is really hardening that we have to bring in a third party to do these things and just to scoop money from our institutions, which is really meant for the students, and it goes directly to another third party. That we should avoid at all costs. I thank you very much, Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you for being so short to the point. Next, Honourable Nekongo.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I also raised to contribute, but first of all, I want to appreciate the bill, but I just wanted to mention some few things. As youth, we have been advocating for free tertiary education. And I think what Honourable Kale said is exactly what I wanted to say. If we are funding UNAM and NAST, almost 80% of their budget, and we are also giving money from Nasaf, why can't we just cut off all this bureaucracy and say, those eligible in NAST automatically apply, and you give the money to NAST? Why do we have to have middlemen in between? We know exactly, and other institutions, maybe what you can do is to say, either private institution, what you can do is just to put up and say, okay, this institution, we can only give you how many students to benefit from NASA. Then you have cut off all this Because if you look at each dollar that you give, probably you are only getting even maybe 50 cents that goes to the primary objective of the fund. So I would think, as much as I appreciate this, we are advocating for free tertiary education, which is indirectly the same, because you are putting money at Nasaf, you are putting money at all the institutions of higher education. It's the same. Why can't we just cut off all this bureaucratic and give the money where it needs to be? And if you give the money to UNAM, then maybe you even cut off all this exorbitant registration. But nowadays, I must be honest, many of our young people are calling us, all of us members of parliament here, please pay for my registration. And at one point I'm asking, why can Nasaf pay the registration? And I'm also asking, this registration, is it the paper that has become expensive? Is it the computer? What is this registration fees of 4,000 per student? And we are funding those institutions. Where does that registration fund go? Well, I know most of you know. All of us are being asked, pay for this one, pay for this one. And they only know that maybe it's only us as member of parliament, we have money. We don't have money. How many can you sustain? So why can't we cut off all this bureaucratic and then just fund directly, including registration? It can be covered by all this money. Thank you very much.
Thank you. To the point. Next, the next Honorable Nanyani.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to applaud the Minister for integrating the Nasaf back to the ministry. Much has been said to the previous speaker, but mine to be in a form of a question. It's come to write that some student details are lost. And what strategy do the minister have to recover this money? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, Honorable Jingara.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want just to bring in one thing, because most of the things are said, and I support Honorable Nkongo and Honorable Schletwain. But the one point I want to bring in is...
please, no jokes, no jokes. Yeah,
okay,
please.
the one thing I want to bring in, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of the marginalized community. I have an experience for these years now, including this year, where one of the San member, a girl, have performed in Rundu and obtained 36 points. And no one have noticed that person until finishing grade 12, that this person need to be taken care of. And the person now, as we speak, because there's no help, there's no assistance to go for further studies, have been taken up by the Ministry of Defense. So we are cutting. It's a cut. I thought that a San community, the moment that person just passed grade 12, special attention should be given by the government. The person must not go and search for help. Someone who is there must already report it. But this person is making good progress. I'm sure that even if I was the only person to take a decision, I was going to remove that person from defense and fund her. Because a 36 points is a lot. The person can prosper, can win. But now, there are so few who are at universities. So I thought, for that point, Honorable Speaker, that the policy, the Act, should make provision for special need, especially to provide, we can mention, is people, marginalized community, to be taken care of specially, so that whoever is going to be responsible for funding must go around and search for these people so that they are taken care, and they must not, like Honorable Venani was saying yesterday, we can construct even whatever, a new private school. I like the idea when he said, build a school in the desert and take them there, force them, because they will appreciate it tomorrow. They don't appreciate it today. They will be disappointed today. But after they have achieved, they will applaud you. I think that is like in my time when I was a small boy. The teachers used to go to the houses to collect that, no, this one go to school. But nowadays, it's left in the hands of the parents that if the parents are quiet, that child. So now, Honorable Speaker, I wanted just to raise and also say that the issue of bringing back to the government those that have been taken out from the government, the work, is highly commendable, Minister Kanji. It's highly commendable, and I want to thank those who will do the same in the future, now. Anyone who will bring any institution and integrate it in the government, thank you, that person already. Thank you very much. Like we are thanking Honorable Kanji Murangi.
Thank
so
you.
On behalf of the Namibian people,
thank you.
I thank all the members of the executive who will do the same.
Thank you.
We are tired with expensive salaries. We are tired with big cost. They just go and increase their salaries and run and come and say, no, now we are bankrupt. No performance. Congratulations those who will do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Dingara, on that very important observation, let me say this. As members of parliament, when we see things in our various communities up and down the country, we are also entitled to intervene and advise. We don't pass that responsibility to anybody else. All of us collectively, governors, etc., and that particular issue of the members from the San community, at the time of my stay at UNAM, we used to intervene directly. We used to encourage by sponsoring young people from the San community to UNAM. We actually had more at that time. So the responsibility lies with all of us collectively. Now, I really want to get on and get to the finishing line of this item. I've got two more additional contributions from the Honorable Kapofi.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I was not intending to comment, but I was prompted by Honorable Dingara, who said that a child who did very well ended up at defense. I find that statement very, very disturbing. I want you to know that today's military is not that type of where you have askaris, you get them, collect them, go in the bush fight, put them on top of Caspers, go and fight and let them go back to the location. That time is over. Today, the military is something else. And that son is not the only one with such kind of high marks. And we are now looking at people who can fly those planes. You can't fly them if you do not have that kind of qualifications. So please, whoever has in mind that defense is that place where you can just take anybody. It was that time of our time, because there you needed only to do one thing. Because we were fighting on the ground with guerrillas and all this. Not today. Today, my dear honorable members, I know you want to make defense, to use defense as an employment agency for everyone who, whatever. But I want you to know that it is not as simple as it used to be. People are fighting with drones. People are calibrating. People are reading weather. They are using weather expert to calculate the distance or the speed of a rocket. I believe you understand me, and Comrade Chair, Comrade Speaker, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm glad for putting the record straight. Thank you very much. Honorable Sioka. Finally, last but not least.
Thank you very much, Comrade Speaker. First of all, let me appreciate for considering me to be named after the cafeteria. Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I never knew that I can be considered, I can be one of them. Let me also extend my thanks to the committee who have chosen me. Thank you very much for considering me. Comrade Speaker, I'll just say a few things. I was also triggered by Honorable Dingara, who mentioned on the marginalized community. Immediately you touch the marginalized, you are touching Doreen. Therefore, it's another issue which is lacking, which we are showing that we are lacking of maybe vision to find out where are the marginalized people. But as the Speaker have mentioned here, comrades, that we have to open up. You know, these marginalized people, we don't know exact number of our people, of marginalized people. So anyone who happened to spot them with those information you have indicated here, please try to consult the Ministry of Gender. We have got the program. I'm not intervening too much because we have spoken it over there at Cabinet. So there's no need of me for wasting time. So it's better for you to be informing us. And also I support Comrade Kapofi. Defense is not a cup of tea. It doesn't need weak people. They need strong people there, and with qualification, with education. What I'll say here today, Comrade Speaker, please do assist me. Do assist the Ministry of Gender, whenever you spot, especially the marginalized and the disability, people with disability. Do report. We have got ministries, offices in the regions. Do assist us, report to them so that we identify. We have got money from Nasaf, which we do support. We have got that program for marginalized people. Now, I really support Comrade Schlettvine. Comrade Schlettvine was supposed to advise us at Cabinet. Otherwise, this bill could not have come in here. It's true, if this advice could have reached there, I don't think that our colleague could have brought this this bill, because we could have ended. That's why we are there as Cabinet members, to advise one another. Bills never comes here without Cabinet approval. So we should try by all means that we advise one another. That side, when we are here, we just listen to what the others are going to say, who have got no access to submissions, which goes to Cabinet. Comrade Speaker, with these few remarks, let me say thank you very much for recognizing me.
Thank you very much. Honorable Shivede, please, finally, I want to wrap up.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. I just rise up just in support for the bill with just one point that I really wanted to raise about the marginalized children, because I'm staying with them. Yes, disadvantaged people. So what I only wanted to say is the late payments. And I must also say thank you for the Prime Minister's office helping also for them, because I ran to her office and she was helping me in January month. Thank you for your office even for that one. Because the late payments of the Nasaf sometimes bring us to go to the banks to help the children of the registration, like Honorable Ephraim was saying. This is the problem that we all get, because I stay with the children of them. They come from the far. I'm coming up in Opowood just to be with me so that they can have their hostels to be paid and something like this. So this is for me to bring on this bill
the late payments must be looked up, because the problem is the children's parents are not having money to pay for the registration. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, honourable members. A big thank you from the chair to all of you for being so brief to the point, in line with our time. And you know this is an urgent bill, and I now have the pleasure to request the honourable minister to reply.
Honorable Speaker, there were a number of important questions that need me to actually take some time and delve into documents and so on, and I'll be able to respond on Monday. Okay.
Well,
that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can
yes.
you?
In that case, let me
attempt.
Yes. Let me thank each and every one of you who have responded, or rather who have taken part to debate this important bill. It is true that there are a number of things, particularly when it comes to the disbursements of funds to those that are funded. I do also take note of the fact that the actual awarding process does actually happen pretty late in the year. It's something that needs to be looked at so that it can be brought forward. Those are some of the things that obviously as a ministry, once this is integrated, will receive proper attention. I will not go to, but thank you so much for...
Thank you very much. I put the question that the bill be read a second time. Any objection? Agree to? Thank you very much. The Secretary will read the bill a second time.
Namibia Financial Assistance Fund Amendment Bill.
Now, I don't want to release you because once I do this, you might delay in coming back. May I assist it? Insist on continuing? Yes. We are still in a good spirit? Yes. Thank you. The Secretary will read the first order of the day.
Committee State Judiciary Amendment Bill.
Does the Honourable Minister of Justice move that the bill now goes to the committee?
I so move, Honourable Speaker.
It is moved that I leave the chair. Any objection? No. Who seconds? Thank you. Agreed to. And I call on the Deputy Chairperson of the Whole House Committee to take the chair.
The whole House Committee is called to order. The whole House Committee has to consider the Judiciary Amendment Bill. I put clause 1. Any discussion? Any objection? Agreed to? I put clause 2. Any discussion? Any objections? Agreed to? I put the title. Any discussion? Any objections? Agreed to? I shall report the bill without amendments. Honorable Speaker, the committee has gone through Bill B1/2025 as set forth in the accompanying copy and agreed to it without amendment.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Does the Honourable Minister wish to reply?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I just want to thank the Honourable members for their support.
Thank you very much. Well, actually, does the Honourable Minister move the bill to be read a third time?
I so move, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Any objection? Agreed to. Who seconds? And any further discussion on the bill? None. Does the Honourable Minister wish to reply?
Honourable Speaker, thank you very much to the Honourable members.
Thank you very much. I put the question that the bill be read a third time. Any objection? Agree to? The Secretary will now read the bill a third time.
Judiciary Amendment Bill.
Let's move on. The Secretary will read the second order of the day.
Resumption of debate on second reading, Public Procurement Amendment Bill.
When this Assembly adjourned yesterday, the 13th of March 2025, the question before the Assembly was a motion by the Honourable Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises that the bill be read the second time. And I'll give the Minister to reply.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Let me also thank the Honourable Members of Parliament who took interest in making contributions, various contributions to the strengthening of the amendment bill, and also for showing interest generally in strengthening our procurement system. So, Honourable Speaker, in answering or responding to the questions and comments that were made by honourable members, I want to preamble my response with 4 points. One,
we understand and agree with the views expressed here by honourable members that this unique amendment is not the panacea. In other words, it's not really the only medicine that we need to fix our procurement system. It's only part of the treatment regime. And I'm inspired because Dr. Shangula is here, so I'm inspired to talk about medicine now. And he was the first one to take the floor. So this is really not the only medicine that we need to fix our procurement system, but again, it's going to help us to fast-track decisions with regard to procurement challenges, and that will help us to procure faster. So it's not going to fix all other problems. The second thing I want to mention is also that it's also not a panacea to fix corruption. Again, it's just one of the ammunition in our arsenals to, again, make sure that if there are court challenges, these court challenges are heard in an expedited manner, and therefore decisions are taken faster. So corruption, yes, it will help. It's just one in a small way. But I agree with those who took the floor, including Honorable Venani, who says that, we need to find other avenues to also deal with corruption, because this is not the only avenue that we can use to deal with corruption. But it's important that we pay attention to corruption in the procurement process. And I believe you can't fix that only with the law. Many of them cited here. It talk about the moral conduct, the ethical conduct of those who are in charge of the procurement system. And unfortunately, that we cannot fix with the law. I believe it's something that we need to fix, starting from home, when we are talking to our children, inculcating the culture of ethical and moral conduct, starting at school, and every platform that we have, we must make use of that platform to ensure that, we strengthen our moral fabric and our moral ethical conduct, so that we deal with the culture, with the ethical culture. So, but laws will only help us some way, but it will not really address the corruption in its entirety, unless we also change the ethical conduct of those who are charged with the job of procurement. So that's the second point I want to make. The third point I want to make, Honourable Speaker, in responding to this, to the comments, I have also heard that our law is defective in this way, it doesn't have this way. For instance, there were examples used. Our law does not make provision for direct procurement because people cannot procure small goods. I actually want to encourage honourable members to actually read the law, because many of these things are actually already in the law. If you go to the law, I can just give you an example. If you go to the law, as from section 31, I believe, or 27. So I'm just trying to retrieve the law now, but it's not coming back. As from section 37, I believe, let me just go there, 27, it talks about the choice of procurement. Of course, the default one, open advertised bidding, open national bidding, that's only reserved for nationals. Open international bidding, then it talks about restricted bidding, it talks about request for seal quotation, emergency procurement, if you want to procure on an emergency basis. It talks about if you want to procure using public entities, in other words, public entities procuring for another public entity, direct procurement, request for proposal, electronic, reverse auction, and small value procurement. All those things are addressed in the law. There is also a specific section, I think it's section 71, which talks about national preferences. So in other words, the law makes provision for us to to procure on a preferential basis, looking at local suppliers, local manufacturers, so that we can affirm those who are creating jobs here in Namibia. So the law has made provision for this, and I just want to encourage honourable members also to familiarize themselves with some of those sections of the law. Now, the question that has been asked is what is really wrong with our procurement system? I will be the first one to agree that our procurement system is not working perfectly. We have decided to answer that question lately. And we decided again to learn from the profession of medicine, because the doctors, before they prescribe a treatment regime, they will first have to diagnose the problem. You know, they will examine you physically, they will send you for blood tests, and so that they can give you a proper treatment regime. Because very often what we have seen is that when we see things, we see challenges, we see problems, we already start to prescribe solutions without really understanding the root cause of the problem. So with procurement, recently we have undertaken an assessment. That assessment is based on a methodology that has been used to assess the adequacy of and the efficiency of procurement systems worldwide. So this is a well-tested methodology. It's called MAPS, and I will want to encourage you to read it because we will make it available on our website. It's a thick document like this. It's methodology for assessing procurement systems. Now, I just want to share briefly the results of that assessment. It was not done by Namibians, it was done by a team that came from all over the world to come and do it. And again, I want to encourage you to read it. So, it will score you on different pillars. So, pillar 1 is on the legal system. So, how robust is your legal system? Surprisingly, we actually scored very, very high on the legal system, meaning our law, compared to other laws in the world, it's actually one of the best. So that's on pillar 1, on the legal system. There are some things that we need to fix. Part of them, they are in the law. We have to fix that. Part of it, we'll have to fix it with the regulations. And the regulations will be, we're actually busy finalizing the regulations. And those regulations will probably be published or gazetted in the next 2 months or so. So the legal framework seems to be robust according to this assessment. Where we fared very, very poor, it's our institutional capacity. So what are institutional capacity? So the institutions that we have to procure, of course, we have the Central Procurement Board. Again, it's a new institution that we have established. It's still going through teething problems. We have to strengthen that. So, but the Central Procurement Board is not the only institution that procures. All the OMAs are actually procuring entities, because most of the procurement actually take place at the OMAs themselves. Again, the people who are doing procurement there, most of them have never done procurement before. So we took people who were in administration to administer this very complex law, and I agree it's very complex, but it's one of the modern laws that we have. Very complex law, but they don't have the capacity to administer that law. So I think that's what we have to fix, and we have started fixing that. Over the last few years, we have come together with our academic institutions, NAST and UNAM, to put together a professional course for people who are doing procurement, because we never had that before. So we now have people studying at UNAM and NAST, studying procurement, and when they are recruited, they will be recruited as procurement experts. So they will now help us to strengthen our procurement system. That's one. Number two, we have also then recognized that procurement as a career is not recognized in the public service. So there is no profession called procurement in public service. There are economists, accountants, and nurses, but there is no a career path for somebody who is doing procurement. And therefore, it's also difficult to attract people who are doing procurement in the government service and all other OMAs or public entities. So again, we need to strengthen that area. So we are now working with the Office of the Prime Minister to create a professional stream on procurement within public service. And hopefully we will soon have professional cadres who are trained in procurement, who are dealing with procurement on a day-to-day basis. So those are some of the things that we have to fix when it comes to our capacity, because the real problem is really a capacity challenge. So the others, where we also fared poorly, it's on operations. Again, it talks about the people who are dealing day to day with procurement, and also our accountability and integrity frameworks. So in other words, the internal auditors, for instance, who are in public entities, do they understand how to audit the procurement process? Will they understand how they can pick up non-compliance when it comes to procurement? So those are, again, one of the things that have been flagged. Is there integrity in the system? We have been talking about corruption here. Yeah? How do we ensure there's integrity in the system? The people who are there, who are doing procurement on a day-to-day basis, how do we ensure that these people are above board? So those are the things that we need to work on. These are really just general comments that I wanted to make to provide information, because we don't have all this information, and it's important that when we are going to fix this problem, we fix the problem also understanding where we need to put more emphasis. Briefly, Honourable Speaker, just to respond to some of the specific questions. There was a question on resources from Honourable Dowsett. Yes, I believe that's a genuine and legitimate concern, and therefore, when we are establishing, when the judiciary is setting up this court, we will have to sit with the judge president to understand the resource needs, so that we ensure that this court, this specialized court, is equipped properly so that it can perform its duties properly. So that's definitely something that we take into account, and therefore the ministry commits to ensure that it will find resources to support the functioning of the court. There was also a concern about the lack of timeliness, and I want to encourage members just to look at the bill. The main purpose of coming up with a specialized court is actually to fast-track decision-making when it comes to court judgments. And there are timelines that I build in there. For instance, if you want to complain against the decision of a review panel, you are only given 14 days to launch your application. So if it comes after 14 days, the court will not hear it. That's one. The second thing is that the court is given 30 days to adjudicate on this decision. We have experience where procurement challenges take 3 years, 2 years. This is what we are trying to cure now. That once the hearing has started, the judges have got 30 days only to pronounce themselves and pronounce their decisions on that particular matter. So the timelines are built into the bill. So if you want to go to that specific section, Section 61E, we'll have some timelines built in. Section 61F will also have some timelines built in. There was a concern raised, and a legitimate one, on essential services by Honourable Schledbein. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to ensure that we define all the essential services. We defined some of the critical ones, but we then said there are those that we have left out. The minister will have come up with a directive, and that's one of the provisions in the law, that the directive will be issued to define all essential services. That will then be the basis on which the court hearing we'll look at the timelines for adjudicating on this matter. In other words, we have defined clinicals and pharmaceuticals as one of those essential goods and essential goods that have to be heard by this court, but the list is not exhaustive. So the bill makes provision for a directive to be issued to make an exhaustive list of what is considered as essential service. Yeah, there was also a concern about the judge consulting with the Minister of Finance when it comes to the formulation of the rules, Honorable Mrorwa. Again, the rationale behind that is really that, before the judge president makes rules, he or she must speak to the people who deal with procurement on a day-to-day basis, not to influence how the rules should look like, but to really make the rules that are going to work. Because if he or she doesn't get the input of the people who deal with the situation on the ground on a day-to-day basis, it will be difficult for him to come up with him or her to come up with the rules that are fit for purpose. That's really only the rationale, not to influence the process. It's a consultation process. It's not a joint decision-making process. I believe, Honourable Speaker, those are some of the comments that have been raised, and I would want to once again to thank all the honourable members for giving us this feedback and input. Again, I should admit that our procurement process or system is not perfect. The law is not our weakest point. We have work to do in fixing the entire system, especially. So we still have some work to do there. But I believe, in my humble opinion, life is never perfect. Life is about progress, and therefore we need to make progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Given the reply, I now put the question that the bill be read a second time. Any objection? None. Then it's agreed to. The Secretary will read the bill the second time.
Public Procurement Amendment Bill.
The Secretary will read the third order of the day.
Consideration of committee report on the parliamentary committee workshop on maximizing the potential of public administration, public service management, and public service delivery in Namibia.
Does the Honourable Ithete move that the committee report be considered? Who seconds? Any objection? Then it's agreed to. Honourable Member, you have the floor.
Okay. Honourable Speaker, honourable members, I rise to present the report of the Standing Committee on Economics and Public Administration following its workshop on maximizing the potential of public administration, public service management, and public service delivery in Namibia. The workshop sought to assess the effectiveness and efficiency of public administration and service delivery in our country. The workshop engaged key stakeholders to scrutinize public service structures, political administrative relations, governance, and accountability in state-owned enterprises, skills development, procurement process, decentralization, financial management, and the digitalization of public service. Finding revealed persistent inefficiency in public administration, including bureaucratic delay, weak policy implementation, lack of accountability, and financial mismanagement. Concerns were raised over inadequate monitoring of capital projects, governance failure in state-owned enterprises, barrier to employment and education funding, and gaps in affirmative action enforcement, particularly for persons with disability. Additionally, the slow pace of public service reform, poor coordination in regional development, and inadequate investment in digital transformation were identified as a major obstacle to efficient service delivery. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, to ensure effective and efficient service delivery, the committee recommends strengthening human resource management, decentralizing government services, enforcing accountability in financial oversight, increasing investment in skills development, enhancing anti-corruption measures, and accelerating the digitalizations of public service. It further calls for improved regulatory framework for state-owned enterprises and greater alignment of national policy with strategic development priorities. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, this report underscores the need for urgent reform to improve public service efficiency and national governance. The committee therefore submits its findings and recommendations for approval and implementation by the relevant office, ministry, and agency under the leadership of the Office of the Prime Minister. I so submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Any further contributions? In the absence of such, does the honourable member wish to reply?
Well, Speaker, honourable members, thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I put the question that the committee report be adopted. Any objection? And it's agreed to. And let's move on. The Secretary will read the fourth order of the day.
Consideration of committee report on the motion on the devastating strike at the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, NBC.
Does the Honourable Kashingwisiwa move that the report be considered? Thank you. Who seconds the report? Any objection? Agree to? Honourable Member, you have the floor.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, here is the long-awaited report. Allow me to present the report of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Human Resource and Community Development on the motion on devastating strike at the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, NBC. The motion on devastating strike at NBC was tabled in National Assembly in 2021 and subsequently referred to this committee for further scrutiny and report back to the Assembly. The main objectives of the motion was to investigate the detrimental effects the strike had on NBC employees. This is now before, during, and after the strike. The exclusive 4.5 million Namibian dollar heavy bonuses for NBC executive management, and to establish circumstances around the purchase of a motor vehicle worth 1.9 million Namibian dollar for the NBC Director General. The committee met with different stakeholders. So, Honourable Speaker, honourable members, the committee found that the strike and the NBC was really painful and devastating, and the employees have paid a heavy price due to the prolonged strike. For many years, the workers of the public broadcaster have endured economic hardship and work-related challenges as results of continuous disregard by the NBC management to attend to the grievances and demands for improvement in their salaries and conditions of service. The demand for salary increment and other benefits, including the agreement of 5.2% backdated for 12 months, then the heavy bonuses for NBC executive and the motor vehicle board for the Director General without satisfactory explanation to the employees were found to be the main causes of the strike. Additionally, negotiations and efforts to reach an amicable solution in an effort to evade the strike were not successful. After a deadlock was reached through the conciliation efforts of the Office of the Labour Commission, a certificate of an unresolved labour dispute was eventually issued. It was this point when the majority of the NBC workers who voted in favour of the industrial strike started experiencing the real suffering during the strike on the 22nd of April till 25th of May 2021. During the strike, the NBC management then started introducing arbitrary decisions which subjected employees to unilateral, unjust and unreasonable actions such as salary deductions for a period of 6 months without being agreed upon by both parties, nor were they communicated to the employees, and their written consent was not obtained from employees before commencement of such deductions. Introduction of total cost to company pay structure, which was not clearly explained to the employees before it was imposed on them. Cancellation or reduction of benefits such as medical aid, unusual salary, progressive notches, unusual leave days, withholding of third-party payments, to mention a few. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, although the Labour Act 11 of 2007, Section 76(1) states that an employer is not obligated to remunerate an employee for services that the employee does not render during a strike or a lockout in compliance with Section 12(1)(a), referring to no work, no pay rule. The same Labour Act, Section 12(1) states that an employer must not make any deduction from an employee's remuneration unless the deduction is required or permitted in terms of a court order or any law. Section 12(2) states that the deduction must not in aggregate exceed 1/3 of an employee's remuneration. Again, NBC only opted to apply for the no work, no pay rule without the consideration of the second part of the Labour Act when it comes to the deductions from employees' salary. Although employees were supposed to be notified, deductions were supposed to be agreed upon in writing and consented to before the commencement of such deductions from their salaries, but none of these were done.
Honourable Member, I would suggest that we get a summary of the report. Don't take us through the whole report by reading just the executive summary.
I will do so.
Yeah.
In conclusion, lastly, I would like to stress that the findings contained in this report reflects the gravity of the matter, and the recommendations are therefore based on such findings. I would like to thank my fellow committee members and all stakeholders who consulted for their cooperation rendered during this exercise. I therefore request the National Assembly to discuss and adopt this report. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any further contribution to this report? And I recognize the Honourable Dienda.
Honourable Speaker, thank you very much. I will be short. This is our report, and I want to wholeheartedly thank our chairperson for this report, but you could have given her time to elaborate more, because there is a lot of issues that is addressed in that report that didn't come out now. I just want to inform the nation that the union NAPU, who is responsible for these workers, they refuse even to be on camera to discuss this matter with us. So this union is the one who really screw people over. They did not represent the interest of the people.
That is,
I will use another word. Okay. What word can I use? Which sounds more diplomatic?
No, just make a general
So, okay,
statement.
this NAPU, they failed in representing the workers of NBC. They failed totally. They were the one advising these workers to go on strike. But at the end of the day, they could not continue representing these people. And what our chairperson was saying that this strike was for less than a month. But the deductions of the payroll or on the pay slips of the salaries of these NBC workers were for more than 2 years. It still continues for them to pay for a strike which was less than 2 years. So the Honorable newly appointed Minister of ITC, ICT, whatever it is, must please come and rectify. NBC cannot be a gentleman club where people are giving themselves bonuses while they know NBC does not have money to afford bonuses and buy expenses cars on the expenses of the workers. This is what happened here. And secondly, I would like to ask the new minister, please, the recommendations that he set aside for this one, let it be implemented. An injury to one is an injury to all. So I am saying what you have done to the NBC workers is unacceptable. We cannot treat people like this in Namibia. This club of elites club of NBC must come to an end, and they must relook into this and pay back people's money. There are some people who are even not paying at the end of the month because of deductions from their salary, which is against the Labour Act. I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Honorable Shiramba.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to overwhelmingly support the report and also to be used as a tool to protect our employees. I would also like to add that human resources remain important in
What happened, my dear? Sorry. Please, take your time. Have a glass of water there. Yeah. No, we are all human beings. If you are distressed, be comforted. Thank you.
Thank you very much
for
bearing with me.
Yeah.
I wanted to say human resources in any industry remain the center stage. Therefore, they must be treated with respect. Given the situation in Namibia of high unemployment rate, with a very tight job market, it put the employees on a state of being mistreated because there is a long queue of people who are waiting for employment. They are being pushed on the edge until where their rights are not taken into consideration. And as well, the unions also loses their bargaining power to bargain for the rights of their members because of a high employment rate. Therefore, this report must be really taken into consideration to protect by all means all our employees for being misused. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That is the role of the committee. You have shared your concern with the House. Obviously, it to be taken up at the appropriate level for those issues to be addressed as quickly as possible. Honorable Shirare.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, having gone on the what do you call them, excursions of finding out what happened all over the country with the NPC employees, it was devastating. Even I was traumatized, just hearing the stories from the employees and what happens and how human resources sometimes is the bully. And I think I would like to implore on the Minister of Labour and perhaps the Minister of Justice to look into criminalizing workplace bullying. You know, similarly to how you can sue for defamation of character, perhaps we can come up with a law that protects employees from their employers. Because this was unacceptable, and I really hope that the recommendations will be, no really, there's a lot of workplace bullying where it's just not NBC per se, all over the country. When you look into what happens in these corporate entities and how human resources is aiding the supervisors and everybody else to bully the subordinates, it's unacceptable. Perhaps maybe the lawmakers could look into it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your concern. In the absence of any further contribution, I would like to request the chairperson of the committee to reply.
Speaker, honorable members, I would like to thank you very much for your contributions. The three members of Parliament, the honorable members who contributed were members of this committee, so I cannot repeat what was said by them. We were together in the whole system, but really it was a devastating motion. When we went out to the different towns to reach the people out there, the tears on them could not be hid. So really, what you have now approved here, I think that it will be implemented, and thank you all.
Thank you very much. I put the question that the committee report be adopted. Any objection? Agree to? Let's continue. The Secretary will read the fifth order of the day.
Consideration of committee report on the audited reports of the Namibian Student Financial Assistance Fund for the financial years ended 2011 to 2013 and 2014 to 2019.
Does the Honourable Moroba move that the committee report be considered?
Honourable Speaker.
Yes.
I am now in a fuss. I moved that report.
Oh, it's already
all four of them.
Yes.
And I also answered.
No. I think when I saw this, I was taken back. You're absolutely right. This is not a matter to be considered. You have responded already. You moved all the reports, I remember.
Yeah.
So I think this is an oversight. Yeah, we did.
All four in the same report.
Under his chairperson committee should be regarded as having been covered already. Yes. Can we do that? Yes. Honestly, because I heard him. So, Emmanuel, could you come over? So this.
Thank you.
Secretary, we read the sixth order of the day.
Consideration of committee report on the motion requesting the Assembly to carry out a comprehensive inquiry into all aspects of the procedures dictating the tender awarding process of the Central Procurement Board of Namibia.
Does the Honourable Ithete move that the committee report be considered?
Honourable
Thank
Speaker.
you very much. Who seconds? Any objection? Then it's agreed to. Honourable Member, you have the floor.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, I rise again to motivate the report of the Standing Committee on Economics and Public Administration on the inquiry into the tender awarding process of the Central Procurement Board of Namibia for consideration by this August House. The motion called for a review of the procurement procedure under the CPBN, as concern have been raised regarding its implementation, transparency and efficiency. Given that the government is the largest procurement of goods, services and works, ensuring transparent and accountable procurement process is critical to public trust and good governance. While the Public Procurement Act provides a legal framework for procurement, the committee found that its implementation remained a challenge. The Central Procurement Board of Namibia faced constraints in human and financial resources, affecting its ability to effectively monitor, verify, and ensure compliance with procurement regulations. If those challenges persist, public confidence in Namibia procurement system and institution will erode. To strengthen accountability and efficiency, the committee recommends that the Central Procurement Board of Namibia enhance its bid evaluation process by conducting thoroughly investigation, on-site inspections and quality assessment before awarding tenders. Furthermore, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises should increase scrutiny over public entities, particularly in high-value procurement projects, to prevent mismanagement and irregularities. The committee submits its recommendation for approval and implementation by the relevant office, ministry, and agency under, of course, the leadership of the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises. The Honorable Speaker, honorable members, there was a bill presented by the Minister of Finance. It could be that some of the issues recommended by the committee is covered by the new proposal. That is fine, and we applaud the ministry for that. With that, I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any further contribution? In the absence of contribution from anyone, I would like to ask the honourable member to reply.
Enterprises for bringing a bill that is touching on the group of the procurement process.
Thank you very much. And I put the question that the committee report be adopted. Any objection? Then agree to. The secretary will read the seventh order of the day.
Consideration of committee report on capital projects of the Ministry of Justice under Vote 16 of the medium-term expenditure framework for the period 2020-2021 up to 2024-2025.
Thank you. Does the Honorable Karondo move the committee report be considered?
I move, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Who seconds? Any objection? None. It's agreed to. Honorable Member, you have the floor.
Thank you for the floor, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. I rise to motivate yet another report of the Standing Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs for the approval of this August House. The Standing Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs resolved to conduct oversight visits to capital projects in all 14 regions. The main objective of the visits was for the committee to assess progress made in executing capital projects. In addition, the committee wanted to determine if a maintenance plan was in place for existing buildings, and equally to assess the level of collaboration and coordination of capital projects between key ministries responsible for implementing capital projects, regional management, and the end users. In comparison to the last visits of the committee, previous committee that was conducted in 2011 and 2012, the management of capital projects, particularly at the regional levels, had deteriorated. Apart from the lack of coordination between the head offices of the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Judiciary, and the Office of the Judiciary and the official regional offices, the situation had escalated to the top management, which negatively impacted the planning, monitoring, and evaluation and the execution of capital projects. Although government spent millions of dollars from the development budget to fund capital projects, much of it went to waste due to a lack of coordination and a sense of accountability by those entrusted with capital projects. The consequences was that in most cases, what was planned is not what is being implemented, and what was being implemented was not what is desired. The findings in all regions were similar and ranged from unconducive working environments, a lack of office spaces, and a shortage of staff, up to the safety and security of court officials and the protection of government property. Furthermore, most planned projects were not implemented, or it was done without proper coordination and supervision in most places visited. The working conditions conducive because the offices were too small that officials have to share. For example, we came across a situation where the head of administration at the Rundu Magistrates Courts in Kavango East region have to share an office with the head of administration of the Kavango West, head of the administration for Kavango West, all two handling two different regions but sharing one small office. And this was found to be very, very unconducive indeed. And these offices had no air conditioning, inadequate ablution facilities, lack of parking spaces, and no consultation rooms for public prosecutors and legal aid lawyers, more especially in the offices that were visited in Katima Mlilo in Zambezi region. The current working environment and conditions for judges of the High Court of the Republic of Namibia, Main Division Windhoek, is unconducive and unacceptable. The offices are too small and not in line with the duties and responsibility bestowed upon judges. The committee hereby submits a number of recommendations as detailed in the report for implementation by the relevant ministries, offices and agencies under the stewardship of the Ministry of Justice. I so submit, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any contribution? Honourable Twea.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. As a member of the committee, there's only one footnote that I wanted to add, very interesting in our own findings. We started in Oshakati, the High Court there, the door, just a door, was off a little bit more than a year with all the documents, etc. When we asked the Ministry of Works representatives, he told us, no, we're waiting for the procurement. But unfortunately, after our inquiry, a few weeks later, the door was fixed. As I said, very interesting observation. The second one, on the capital project, they indicated for a prefab courtroom in Omuthia. We had the Deputy Executive Director with us, and when we got to Omuthia, we said, all right, take us so that we can see this prefab courtroom. We were told, no, there is no such a thing. I said, but sir, here, you put it here. No, it was supposed to be there, but it is not there. We checked with the governor, and I'm sure you may recall how the governor was fuming and said, no, this cannot continue because we've got wrong people in right offices. But in terms of our findings, the money was spent where nobody could account. So that courtroom was nowhere to be seen. So these are just some of the findings. We can have nice, formulated in good English here, but on the ground, that's something else. Very unfortunate for that matter. And the people, when they hear that there will be this facility, they are happy. Come the year, the facility is not there. They come and say, you parliamentarians, you are also useless. You give us money, you never check whether the money was spent for the right purpose or not. That just as a footnote. But please have time. The document is on your telegram. Yeah. Read just to understand what is happening there compared to what is being told here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're highlighting it, but the document is before you. Honorable Katamelo.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Equally echoing, I'm also a member of the committee. The committee was divided in two legs, one leg up north, one leg down south. And together, I think I was with Honorable Toya, a very disturbing, the Ombudsman's office. Government is renting that office. If you look in the MTEF, it says by this day, 2019, the Ombudsman should buy an office. That money was appropriated, make available. The deal fell flat. What was budgeted for was 25 million. What the men wanted was 18 million. What the evaluators evaluate the building was 11 million. Now here's the strange part. The deal went flat because we didn't want to pay 18 million. But we went to sign a rental contract, which in 3 years was 9 million. In 6 years, we are double that amount. When we went there, Honorable Nekundi, the accounting officer of Ombudsman is Justice. He did not even know, because we went this year, isn't it, Honorable Toya? Last year. The year we went, the contract lapsed the other year. So the people were illegal. They did not know is that contract being extended, but they are there. But the papers that we had, for the 6 years that we rented that building, we rented more than the money that we would have paid the owner. Those are not some thugs observations, just a pity. Normally when I speak, I want to have the paper. It's just that I don't have the paper, but the report is there. But we were there. Honorable Toya is there, Honorable Fries, myself. Physical finding.
Okay.
When you ask the accounting officer, where is the rental contract? How do you sit in this office? There is no rental contract.
Okay.
You hear the rental is part of works, but the entity so enjoying the benefit does not even have the rental contract.
Okay.
But the basic I'm trying to do is the maths. You can't buy a building because you have evaluated a building for 11 million. But you end up renting a building that within 6 years is 18 million. Within 3 years, it was 9 million. 9 minus 11 gives you 3 million. We would have rather just have bought that building for 18 million and save. Because up to now, we went beyond, and I'm sure we have passed now, original 25 million what the owner wanted. So those are what even Honorable Kapofi said. I just wanted to illustrate that there is a serious need of a revamp in terms, besides the revamp of government procurement, there is the element of accountability and taking people to task. That one we are lacking, and it's our responsibility. But I support the report.
Thank you very much. Let's wrap it up. Let me underscore the fact that our standing committees are going around assessing all these issues and bringing them up, but this is part of the responsibility of Parliament. Highlight them in order to seek improvement. So well done for that. Honourable Shiveda.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, honourable members. I am just going to give just advice to the committee members, maybe the incoming ones.
Are you not a member of this committee?
Capital, I'm supporting the bill. Capital projects are vested is a must for a committee members so that they can even see what is used in the capital projects. The buildings, sometimes people are suffering, but they cannot maybe report to their ministries. So for the committee to go and visit their own shareholders' capital projects is a must. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Honourable, it's your time. The Honourable Chairperson, do you wish to reply?
Thank you for the floor once again, Honourable Speaker. I would like to make use of this opportunity to thank the honourable members that contributed to this very important report of ours, more especially Honourable Tuya for shedding more light on our findings, Honourable Katamelo for pointing out the discrepancies that are there and the lack of an element of accountability. Honourable Shivede, thank you very much for also highlighting that finding. But all the most important recommendations are captured in our detailed report. And I thus would like to urge honourable members to familiarise yourselves with what is contained in the report that's currently circulating on Telegram. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Given that, I now put the question that the report be adopted. Any objection? Agree to? Now, at this point, I need to consult you whether do you require a health break or do we continue? Now, but I think we should also have an understanding.
If we go now for tea break, how many minutes we are going for tea break for us to come back? Because the adjournment is 12:30.
Yeah, until is it until what time? 2. I just want to have clarity as we are here. I think we need to know that we are here until 12:30, but I'm now told some people are saying they think we are here until 2:30. So we are here until 12:30. 12.
The time was extended yesterday by the chief.
Yes, that's what. Yeah.
The 12:30 is here.
I want us to make a distinction between the usual time when we meet on Friday, we adjourn at 12:30. But given the fact that the Chief Whip have extended the time to 2:30, but anyway, we are in it together. We're in it together. We can revise that. If you feel you don't have the energy to go until 2:30, let me know. So, but given the fact that we want to adjourn at 12:30, can we then continue without going for a tea break? You agree with that? You would rather prefer that as opposed to the recommendation by the Chief Whip? Yes. Okay. So decided by the majority? Okay. We continue to deal with the Secretary will read the 8th order of the day.
Consideration of committee report on the motion requesting the Assembly to investigate the possibility of overcharges and unethical multiple charges resulting in over-profiteering by commercial banks in Namibia.
Does the Honourable Ithete move the committee report be considered? Thank you. Who seconds the report? Any objection? None. That agree to? Honourable Member, you have the floor. Just a summary.
Yes. Just a summary. Honourable Speaker, honourable members, I rise to motivate the report of the Standing Committee on Economics and Public Administration on the motion calling for an investigation into the conduct of commercial banks in our country, specifically regarding the allegation of racial and class discrimination, excessive bank charges, and unfair credit rating practice. The motion also seeks urgent amendment to regulatory oversight on bank charges and customer protection. Following consultation with key stakeholders in the banking sector, the committee found that there is no clear regulation on bank charges, despite the Minister of Finance and Public Enterprise being mandated under the Payment Management System Act and the Banking Institution Act to regulate and prescribe maximum bank charges. The Bank of Namibia has mechanism in place for banks to justify their charges, yet those charges remain largely set at the discretion of financial institutions, often based on credit history. While some reforms are underway, including the Customers Protection Policy, the amendment of the Bank of Namibia Act remain critical to ensure a fair and transparent banking system. The committee therefore recommends that the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprise establish clear regulations to oversee bank charges, ensuring that commercial banks operate fairly and transparently. Without effective oversight, unfair banking practice will continue to disadvantage consumers, necessitating urgent regulatory intervention. Honourable Speaker, honourable members, the committee submit those recommendations for approval and implementation by the relevant office, ministry, and agency. I so submit on that.
Thank you very much. And again, let's keep to the time limit.
Thank you very much, Comrade Speaker, Comrade Chairperson, Honourable Ithete, for the presentation of that very important report in relation to the motion concerned. Comrade Speaker, I take this motion of personal interest, being representative of the Namibia people, because it is of serious and how it affects people. Comrade Speaker, I read the report, very thorough. One of the disturbing, and I think this needs to be addressed. I think it's high time that people must decide whether they want to be heading institutions of public or not. They must make a distinction. And if they do not want, they must just quit. And if they continue to behave the way they are behaving, I think the authorities must be decisive enough to protect the people's interest. I found it very much interesting that the Bank of Namibia, in the report as found here on page 5, it says, if there are beliefs that banks are discriminating, that is an insulting.
Yeah.
If it's an insulting, and that will make some of us paining. These people must be held accountable. We are saying they are doing it, and there are information that they are doing that. And they cannot continue to say if. It is very much insulting. And therefore, I am calling also, I'm not sure in your recommendation whether it's clear there. I am calling, Comrade Speaker, if it's not in the recommendation, that it must include that the office of an ombudsperson must institute an investigation in accordance with Article 91, sub-Article D of the Namibian Constitution, which gives the ombudsperson the powers to investigate private institutions in as far as the violation of the Namibian Constitution is concerned, in particular Article 10, sub-Article 2, which talk about no discrimination against economic status and race. That must be done. And one of the classical facts to this, Comrade Speaker, we know that if you have assets, your interest rates are lesser than the poor people who do not have assets. And that is a discrimination. And they cannot say if. So therefore, it is very much insulting. The other issue, Comrade Speaker, I'm looking at the time, is again of insulting. The Bank of Namibia to stand and say they have no problem for banks to make profit. Nobody has a problem with the bank to make profit. But we are talking about the exorbitant profit. We as a government and the parliament have put up laws to regulate the prices of taxi industries. They are also private, but we are regulating. We also have regulations on the fuel industries, where they are also private. They equally must be regulated. You cannot say it is correct, Mr. Speaker, that a bank in a population of 3 million now, and the working class is less than that, yet they make in a quarter, they make around 900 million profit. No, that is over-profiteering. That's over-profiteering. And they still believe that nothing is wrong. It's an insulting, and I think the Minister of Finance to come must take this thing very much serious. The Bank of Namibia governor must be held accountable, and his personnel. No, we are pained, and they can't take it for granted. It's because they must either move in or they move out if they think they are protecting private interests. We are here to represent the people of Namibia. I so submit that this report must be taken serious, and whoever has the authority, so mandated the people of Namibia through the appointment by the president, must take this thing very serious. These abnormalities must be addressed once and for all. We are tight, and this must be addressed once and for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No, Honourable Member, all the reports that are tabled here must be taken seriously, all of them. Honourable Shifeta.
No, this must be serious.
Honourable Speaker, thank you very much. I heard myself speaking through Honourable Nekundi here. I don't know whether it's only me who detects this. Just go on your statement. Draw your statement for 6 months. And you see how many charges. Some of them you don't even know what it is. I'm in 3 banks.
3 banks.
3 banks. Just to compare, and the rates are not the same. Whether you charge, whenever you deposit, whatever you do with the bank, any movement, you pay. And sometimes we think it is $5 is small, but that $5 will be like how many times? And then you accumulate all these charges, just because you are moving this money here, even in the account moving money, you are paying. You just take from this account to that account, it's a punishment. You withdraw is a punishment. You bank is a punishment. When you accumulate and you put this money together, sometimes even 2,000 Namibian dollars or more, depends on how active your account is. I think this is very much. And it looks like these banks are doing it. It's like a business with monopoly that don't care about the clients. They don't have option to go anywhere. They are with us. When you look at, just compare the repo rates and the prime lending rate. The profit between the repo rate and the prime lending rate, the profit is between there. You see, the repo rate is about, I think, 6.5? Yeah? 6.7 there around. Now, look at the prime lending rate. It is about 10.5 or something. 10.50. So between there, just check their profit there. That's why they make these profits like what Comrade Nekundi said here. And they gain. Apart from that, now the interest is higher. They charge anything that you do with your account. Anything you want to do with your account. Sometimes you just don't want even to touch your account because every time $25, $30, $12. I mean, it is very much.
You look at it, it's already.
You go to the ATM, you withdraw, it's money. You deposit, it's money they charge. I think we need really to get into that. And when you look at, compare within SADC, don't even go beyond SADC. Our interest is higher, our charges are higher. I do not know whether it's a kind of a collusion with the banks in Namibia. It looks like a collusion because like you don't have any choice. You will be with us.
Okay.
Now some people will probably think of putting your money under a pillow. Then it's safe. Thank you.
Thank you. I suppose we're dealing with the report. All these issues are covered there. Honorable Katamelo, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I must actually allude to the mover of the motion. And I'm saying that maybe we should understand, if as government we are not able to protect the many that are poor, we are even in danger of securing the livelihood of those few who are rich. And the gap between the affordability aspect of any loan drills down to interest. That's why the Arabs don't have interest. And this uncontrolled interest, even others charge interest on interest, is further dwindling the non-performance and non-sustainability of livelihoods of our people. I really don't understand the rationale behind borrowing 800,000 to buy a car and you pay 5 years, and borrowing 800,000 to buy a house and you pay 20 years. I don't understand. And they will even tell you a house is an investment and a car is a liability. But they are right. A house is an investment to them because for 240 months they are secured of installment. 3 times. So at the end of buying a house of 800, you end up buying that house for 2.4 million. What kind of a mathematics is there And we say we want to address and uplift the livelihood of our people. Yet the systems and processes that we put, what is the word, Mayevro? System, processes, and institutions that we are putting are the same ones that are becoming bigger than us. Now they are dictating from there. Look at, I saw in the newspaper, Standard Bank declares profit of 1 billion. Africans, 1 billion. We are 3 million. Half of this population is not working. The ones who are working are taxi drivers, domestic workers. So out of a quarter, you milk 1 billion. And therefore you are even proud. It's something you can be boastful about. Yet the society out there is not moving with you in synergy in order to propel that 1 billion. So I really support the motion, and I say, in terms of Article 40, that I will continue to quote Article 40, even calling me 40. Even in life, you are... Article 40.
Okay.
Article 40. You even know... Yeah. The society even says, when you become 40, you say naughty 40s. So, maybe the drafters, Honorable Jeridem of our Constitution, they hate, Honorable Speaker, you were part of it. Maybe you must tell us what was the use of bringing Article 40, you know? Yeah.
Because we were born in the 1940s.
That's saying. So I support the motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Benani.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for having come up with some of their recommendations and to echo the sentiments of the mover. In a society that we have probably the second highest score Gini coefficient in the world, where the majority of our populace are swimming in absolute poverty. Having bought friends that's supposed to protect consumers, they have become friends with the Bank of Namibia. I went to the governor, former governor, now Minister of Finance, some years back. I met him and the deputy governor, and I raised this concern with them on housing financing. This matter is very dire. Members of parliament, tomorrow we are swearing in new members of parliament. All these young people here are renting. People earning $40,000 a month are renting, they can't qualify for a house. Banks are not financing members of parliament. Now just imagine if a member of parliament earning 40,000 cannot qualify to buy a house in this country. What about the rest of the society? People are living at Ombwalya Totina in the doldrums of Windhoek, in shacks, working as police officers, working as soldiers, working as government civil servants. They can't afford homes because the banks are having a rigorous process of over-profiteering on this housing. And these things I'm not saying without comparing them. Go to Eurasia, Indochina, in Europe, Americas, all those banks, Southern African banks makes more money, makes more profit than banks in Europe. They make more profit than banks in Indochina. They make more profit than banks in America. We are sitting with a problem. And strange enough, to those that try to save, take your pension 1/3 now. Go throw 100,000 in a savings account. Go see how much money you will earn on your savings. 0.2. Go take an overdraft from the bank and see how much you are going to pay. 11, 18 even. Now, in England, and this is, Honorable Minister of Finance, listen very carefully. In England, the regulator, the financial regulator, the Bank of England has called banks 3 times on the question of over-profiteering in an area where they are not making as much as profits as us. When have you called banks in to say that our society is complaining about financing? Do you know even why political parties cannot even afford to buy offices? Not with that we don't have money. You go to the bank and you tell them that I have 16 million, we want to buy property. No, we are going to finance that thing over 30 years. Your income is only 5 years, therefore we are not going to look at you. What? Bank what? I'm saying I'm going to pay you 4 million in a period of 4 years. I want to buy a property. The bank says, no, our financing is over 25 years, so we are not giving you a property. It's not that you don't have the money. It's because of rigorous banking systems that are put there to benefit those that have money. And we can't be seated here. All of you that have studied economics, don't tell me the collapse of the American banks in the early 2000s. Banks can also collapse if they become unruly. These banks, we will collapse them by not paying. Because the only solution to these banks, if the regulators and the governor of the Bank of Namibia, the Minister of Finance is not doing anything, you will force us not to start paying the banks and collapse the banking system in this country.
Okay.
And that is not the route that we want. We must be serious. We must look at the banks. I am a man who believes in the principle and espouses the principle of free market economy. But free market economy cannot be left uncontrolled to the detriment of the majority of society. And we must rise to the occasion and call the banks in and address this question of them. No, the bank has made 1 billion. The bank has made 1 billion. The bank has made, while the people are suffering in poverty.
Okay.
Nonsense.
Thank you, Honorable Mororwa. We're up against time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I must say that my cousin, Honorable Venani, has taken most of the things that I wanted to say. But I think it is very much important that we need to understand that the roles of the Reserve Bank is to supervise the banking sector and also to ensure economic growth. Now, the basic thing is, how do we grow economically if our people are living in shacks? Is it economic growth? It is not, surely. And he has given a very good example of, even if MPs does not qualify to buy a house, how would poor people who does not earn as much as MPs be helping this country to grow economically? But it is simply because our Reserve Bank does not supervise the banking sector properly. I think it is true that the repo rate is 6.75 and the prime lending rate is 10.5. But the interest rate on a revolving fund, for example, is 16.65. 16.65. I can put my head on a block. More than 50% of the members of this house are on a revolving fund. And more than 80% of civil servants are having a revolving fund. How, honorable members, are we going to really get out of this trap if our bank does not supervise properly these the banking sectors? And therefore, I fully support this report and really hope that the Minister of Finance is going to do something tangible that will bring about change in this whole system. Because it is very weird that for a person, if you make an investment of your own cash, you only get your interest annually, once annually. But if you loan from the bank, they charge you monthly. That is not uncalled for. Why should you only get annual interest if they are charging you, when you borrow from them, they are charging you every month? And the worst of all is, it is the poor people who are banking money. The rich people are loaning money. Huh? So we are draining the poor people and impoverishing them. Therefore, we cannot grow. So we have really to look at it. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, Honorable Digara, you might want to add your idea about the million that you promised the members.
You promised us 1 million. Come on.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I don't know. I think we, as members of Parliament, we have become professional complainant over and over, and we don't solve the problem. We just complain and complain, and no one can solve the problem. And I don't know to whom are we complaining. That one I don't know, really. And when we speak, I see ourselves speaking to someone whom we want to solve the problem, and the person, when the person don't solve the problem, we continue to complain, here come, here go. And I don't know how much we deal with that, because even at this point, if someone will bring it to this house 10 years, the members of Parliament will repeat what they are saying now. And they are happy when they finish to talk. And that's, whether the problem remains or doesn't remain, it's not an issue. That is one of my biggest concerns. I want us to find a way how we in Parliament must decide and act so that when we finish to talk, we see result, so that things must change. And not only, I think that is the point I want to bring, but I want also for information of all these banks in Vendo, not to borrow. No, I'm not referring to borrowing. One bank, if you just put your money there, one bank is doing well. I have tried it and I'm doing it like this now. This new bank, Liseho, they have also account. They have also account, and I have seen it. If you put your money, even a salary, in any of the other bank other than Liseho, and every time you take something, the reduction is faster, because when you reduce, when you come back tomorrow, the balance is different. But I normally, what I'm doing nowadays, I have opened an account with Liseho, and every time when I get my salary, I move it to Liseho account. At Liseho, the balance which you leave when you withdraw or when you do any transaction, because the cost is given to you that time when you are busy with the transaction, that is how much? It's $5, it's $2.60. And even if you leave the account for 2 weeks, not even a cent will be removed. Only Liseho. All the other banks, the account can reduce alone without you, can go to zero even. So I was advising the people of this country, Namibia, that people can try this. I have tried it and it is working. So it's just an advice to the people of the country. Not referring to borrowing from Lesotho, but referring from opening an account and to put your money there. The amount will remain the same until you withdraw, and every time the balance will not change itself. So I'm trying to advise my colleagues and the whole country that Lesotho is not like other banks. They are helping us. They have adhered to our complaint.
Thank you very much. I've taken note of the fact that there was no comment about the million, but we'll leave it for another day. Honorable Chairperson of the Standing Committee, it's your right to reply.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Honorable Ndingara, our desire is to pass decisions here and implement them as soon as possible, but we have to follow the system. We have to go step by step as per the system that we have created ourselves. Which is not really, there is no much delay in that. incorporating our decisions into Act, and the Act before drafting forms, and it has to go to certain committees, it has to go to executives, cabinet committee on the legislature, and then cabinet, then it comes here before it becomes a law. We just have to follow that process. It's unfortunate, but there is no harm in that. All what I can say, all the members that spoke, they really supported. And I can just perhaps say thank you so much. And Bank of Namibia and Ministry of Finance, you hear the cry of the people. Please, let's do something on behalf of our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I now put the question that the committee report be adopted. Any objection? Agree to? Can we continue for a while? We have got a bit of time. The Secretary will read the 10th order of the day.
On the motion requesting the Assembly to address the notion of one Namibia, one nation, and how it relates to various opportunities, equitable wealth distribution, and resource allocation.
Thank you. Does the Honourable Ithete move that the committee report be considered? Thank you. Who seconds? Any objection? Then it's agreed to. The Honourable Member, you have the floor.
Which report is that one?
One nation.
One nation. One nation. Okay. Honourable members, Honourable Speaker.
Just the summary.
Yes. It's just a summary, a quick one.
In a few words.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable members, I rise again to motivate the report of the Public Administration on the management of the railway.
No.
Yeah.
One
Namibia, one nation.
A notion of one.
A notion of one Namibia. Oh, sorry. Okay. I rise to present I rise to motivate the report of the Standing Committee on Economics and Public Administration on the diagnostic study in equality in Namibia, following the motion tabled by Honorable Kabeko Tora in October 2022. The study examined regional disparities in resources allocation, economic opportunity, employment, and wealth distribution, revealing significant urban, rural, and inter-regional imbalance that continue to fuel inequality. Key findings indicate unequal access to economic and employment opportunity, skewed labor market absorption rate, and historical concentrate land ownership, all of which hinder inclusive growth. Without intervention, those disparities will continue to widen economic and social inequality across our country. To address those challenges, the report proposed four priority policy areas: promoting equal opportunity at the regional level, ensuring fair distribution of resource and economic prospect, enhancing equity in education funding, strengthening land redistribution effort. Additionally, key recommendations include increased regional infrastructure investment, merit-based employment policy with proportional quotas, fair budget allocation based on needs assessment, and expanded land access for disadvantaged community. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, to build a more inclusive and a unified Namibia, those proposals require urgent implementation by the executive, legislature, and the relevant ministries. The committee therefore submit those recommendations for approval. I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. The floor is open. Honorable Mahone.
It's not approved. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I thank the member for presenting the report, and I support the report. But what is in there is very important. Equality, inclusivity, all those things that are being talked about, whether it is in the regions, whether it is nationally. And this thing should go up to, I listened to the ED of Education, was it last week, on TV, when she was talking to directors to say, please, within your appointments, try to be inclusive. When people are not inclusive, they think they are creating employment for their own people. But in the same vein, they are killing the systems. They are killing the systems. I'm a substantial farmer. Me. Subsistence farmer. I know, Honorable Speaker, that I cannot, if I have to employ people who are looking after my cattle or my goats, I know that I cannot appoint people that are from the same whatever, because they will keep things down there. If something is being done wrong, nothing will come out. That's why I make sure that one should come from Aminuis.
But diversity.
Diversity. One should come from whatever region. This thing that we think we can employ our own people and who, that's why the systems are dead. Let's stop this thing. Let's be inclusive. Namibia, if you want to create that one Namibia, one nation, it's only when we can diversify our people who are working. Go into the ministries and see, and especially when you go into the economic ministries, look at who is there. And that's where thievery is taking place, because it's the same people. Can we be inclusive? You will see that systems will change. Yes. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just wanted to say
Thank you very much. Honorable Katamelo.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker,
we are getting close to the time, so...
To the time. No, I will be short. I just said... You see, why would me and he speak in Royal Kwikop? If Magubia Bomeusi?
No talk.
Oh. Really, our late president, Hake Gottfried, formulated and left us with one phrase: inclusivity propels peace, exclusivity spells conflict and disharmony.
And disharmony.
And disharmony. And I am not permitted, but if I interpret the words of His Excellency Lucas Ifike Pinyo Pohamba Ete Tunda, you know, an elder, they say the greatest art of communication is to listen to the unspoken word. Every man, woman, listen to me, will tell you I love you. But there is the one that you must listen, is the one. In African sounds, the achtertonge kies gesprek. That word that is there, the intent, you will see it. And that message there for me is a cry of a man who has brought us here, saying, I don't know the road forward. It's the values that has brought us here, are they still going to be maintained? And I'm saying, the imaginariness and the quietness. Our country and the world does not suffer of bad people. Our country suffers because of the quietness of the good ones. When you listen to Boko, the president of Botswana, Boko says, many of you come to me, I must do this to whoever and whoever. But the one fundamental question he asked himself, what did you do?
You were there.
What did you do for me to say I must fire Venani? What did you do to Venani? Can we call each other together and sit at a table? And that's where I've also seen the testing and undermining of others' intelligence. You can clearly see that here there is something unruffling. There is no way we can defend a 1 billion tender of condoms, even if it's legally awarded. 1 billion to one person. There is no way we can justify it. So there comes a time where morality must oversee law, science, and everything. We must be guided by the inner self. When I come to this house, I pledge one thing, which I don't have, but I'm seeking it. Integrity. Integriteit. Integriteit is baie belangrik. And I've realized that our integrity is out of the window. And we undermine each other while the reasons are there. I don't want to say what I have to say. But you want to tell me from everything, there can't be ambassadors. We can't have a royal Kwikoko as an ambassador. I'm saying from the sun over to Tswanas, who is there? A ED, a MD. We can count. And it's not necessary. After 34 years in this country, we've become tribally too conscious than we were in 1990. You can dispute that, but it's a fact. After 34 years, we've become tribally too conscious, all of us, than we were in 1990. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Benami, given the limited time, please make it short.
2 minutes. Honorable Speaker, the report is very limited. It is limited because it lacks to address what my cousin, Honorable Katamelo, has just alluded to. Many years back, I was a young man in this house, and I brought a motion here on tribalism. Our problem in this country is tribalism. Like it or not, all of us, each one of us is looking inward. My village, my region, my people. For as long as we are limiting our scope to your village, to your language, to your color, to your what, we are not a new Namibia, can and shall not be born. When we are giving each other tenders, that is why people find it very normal. A child, your child who lives in your backyard, together with my children, can get a tender of 200 million. A child, 22 years of age, living behind in your room, she has a tender, and you find it very normal that your child has $200 million tender. Or a child going to university has $2-3 million in her or account. We are supposed to look inward and ask ourselves what Krishnamurti, a great Indian philosopher, said, turn within. We must start turning within, addressing tribalism in our country. I want to conclude by saying, Honorable Speaker, you and I have been conversing over this issue of genocide. And I know how passionate, and you know how passionate I am, because I was with Kerina Riwako starting this whole crusade. There is even, because of tribalism in the country, the groups that are affected have also started to think tribalistically, trying to protect their turf. When you are telling them that, hey, if we are building a technicon, Why should it only be our children coming there? All Namibian children should benefit from this thing. So you say, what are we getting for us to bring other people? Every new idea that comes, every new tender, every new venture that comes, everyone is lining himself tribalistically. And if we are not addressing the elephant in the room, and go check my motion, I think I brought it in 2003, 2004. My late brother Abraham Yambo and I had a very strong conversation on the floor of this house. Then it was raw politics in this country. And I said our problem is tribalism. I still maintain we must eschew and move away from tribalism for a one Namibia, one nation to be born.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Given the time now, do you still want to come in? Do you want to contribute to the motion? Yes, please.
Yes, Honorable Speaker. One Namibia. One Namibia. Yes, I rise to. Yes, it is a national motto. It's not SWAPO. That's why I'm expecting you. That's why I'm expecting you to respond. Honorable Speaker, I'm very, very.
Please, let's end on a positive note. Please.
This national motto is supposed to emphasize on unity, inclusivity, collective development, which are key principles when it comes to equitable wealth distribution as well as resource allocation. Now, the reason why I started by shouting one Namibia, one nation, let us do self-introspection. There are certain topics or certain discussions that we all become uncomfortable to discuss because we know the realities on the ground and we know what is really happening. So I think I will urge us, in all honesty, to look or to relook at this motto. How do we relate to this motto? Us here today can ask yourself or ourselves, how am I contributing to this motto of one Namibia, one nation? When we look at all the 14 regions, are we really, from the bottom of our hearts, talking about equal distribution of or allocation of resources, or equity when it comes to wealth distribution, and so forth? Are we considering the population of the different 14 regions? How do we allocate our resources in our country? And so far, we still have some regions, which is very unfortunate, that are called poorest of the poor in Namibia, where we are shouting, one Namibia, one nation. I think it is really time that we must reflect on how we are supposed to redress some of these very serious concerns. So we cannot continue to shout one Namibia, one nation, while the development is skewed, while some people have not even seen a tar road in their area, while others, just from my house to the shop there, I have tar road. Others have not even seen gravel road, and so forth. I think we need really to look at this as a nation. I'm just talking as a leader, as a national leader, to say for us to proudly as Namibians, to shout one Namibia, one nation, it needs serious reflection from all of us as leaders, to really proudly and instill that in our children, to say one Namibia, one nation, and together as a nation we can move, and Namibia can become a prosperous country if we can all forge ahead and really mean this in all honesty and all honesty. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for those positive expressions. I think we are now at the point where I would like to ask the mover, the motion, to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I should really thank the honorable members to express themselves, and through their expression they have supported the report and exactly what you have called it, what we have recommended. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Given that, I put the question that the committee report be adopted. Any objection? Agree to? Now, can we call it a day? Whether and I'm looking at you. You have. Can I speak? Can I speak? I didn't want the chair to be respected. There's too much dialogue going on. It has become, you were never doing this sort of thing at the beginning. I don't know whether it's a question of being tired. But anyway, I just want to confirm something to you. Having had the opportunity to go through a number of various items, we have really improved on the long list of the items we had. So this gives us the confidence that come Monday, we can and we should be able to get to the finishing line. But we should continue to maintain some discipline and to be here on time so that we can actually finish everything that is before us. That said and done, I wish you a very restful weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday. The House stands adjourned until Monday.